Hello YouTube, today we're going to be installing this Aero Precision Quantum 15-inch handguard on my 16-inch carbine AR-15 upper. This is the same upper that I showed in an earlier video going over the upgrades I was going to do to it. I've already pulled off the old handguards, the old barrel nut, gas block, all that. So without further ado, let's get started. The first thing we need to do, since I'm using a standard AR-15 upper, is I need to install a BAR barrel nut. This came with the handguard and was like 15 bucks extra on top of the cost of the handguard. Now that I have the barrel nut snugged up against here, I'll get my torque wrench out and torque it to 35 foot-pounds. Once I've done that, I can then take my poundage up a little bit and line up the next hole in the barrel nut. I won't be pre-stressing this upper because it's already been done. So let's get the torque wrench out and see what we can do. When torquing on a barrel nut for an AR-15, make sure your armorer's wrench is set at a 90-degree angle on your torque wrench, because if you set it like this, which would be the kind of the natural way to do it, you're actually extending this length by about 1.5 inches or 2 inches, which therefore increases the amount of torque you're getting, and you can over torque your barrel nut if you're not careful. So I just torqued this up to just under 80 pounds, and being that's the upper end of what you should torque your barrel nut to, I'm going to go ahead and take my breaker bar here, take the barrel nut off, and maybe add one of the shims that come with this handguard to hopefully get these holes to line up a little better. So I ended up using all of the shims that came with the handguard in order to get things to line up, but now things are all lined up, we can go ahead and install the Odinworks gas block and my gas tube. I will say this worked really good, these flat angles here, to be able to set this down on just a piece of wood to put my pin in. It was a lot easier than any other gas block I've ever done this on, so definitely high marks for the Odinworks steel gas block. The other thing I want to mention about this gas block is they were nice enough to put a indexing mark right here below your gas port, so that way when you're putting it on your barrel you don't have to draw a line yourself, you can just line up that mark with your gas port. Before I go ahead and tighten everything down and get everything lined up, I flipped the upper over so that I could put some thread locker on these set screws for the gas block. You can use Loctite or whatever kind of meets your fancy. I happen to have some of this Vibratite left over from Midwest Industries rail that I had, so I'm going to go ahead and use that. Okay, next we need to slide our actual handguard over the barrel nut and make sure that these two tabs here index on our upper receiver. Just like so. Now all the holes on the barrel nut should line up, and I'm going to go ahead and get those screwed in there. I'm going to use the same thread locker I was using before, make sure nothing moves on me. So when that's done, I'll get back to you. Alright, and there we have it, completely installed. One thing I will mention here is that these are not Allen wrench head screws, they are T25 torque head screws. Thankfully I happen to have one, but if you're getting this rail and you don't have one, keep that in mind. The next step is going to be installing, there's a little piece of Picatinny that sits up here for your front iron sight. I don't have a front iron sight for this yet, but I'm going to go ahead and install it now so that I don't have to do it later. I'm also going to be putting a little bit of thread locker in this channel here that connects the Picatinny rail to the handguard, just to give it a little more, I guess, stick togetherness. I believe it was Chad on Iraq Veteran 8888 that used the same method for mounting up a rail for an optic on a bolt action rifle. And it looks like these are also T20 torque head screws. The last piece of the puzzle is going to be installing this muzzle device that I got at my local gun shop. They didn't have a name brand on it or anything. I decided for what it cost me, I'd try it out. If it didn't work, I wasn't out that much. It does appear to be a knockoff of a battle comp, so it should give pretty good performance, I'm hoping. And here it is, the final upgrades to my first AR-15. I'm hoping this kind of brings this gun out of the realm of safe, clean, and into actual usable rifle. If you found this video helpful or informative, please like, share, and subscribe. If you have any questions about the things I went over in this video, or maybe something I missed, or maybe you know something I don't, please leave them in the comment section below.